Alright, so in this video, I'm going to solve the equation 64 to the power of x is equal to x to the power of 192. So, I obviously want to find the value of x here. And the tricky part of this equation is that we have x as both an exponent and a term. Actually a base, too. So it's going to be pretty challenging to solve for x, but we're still going to do it. So for my solution, I'm going to first start with my equation here. And I'm going to take the power of 1 over x on both sides. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is equal to a to the power of m times n. So in this case, x and 1 over x multiply. And because they're reciprocals, they cancel out. So I'm left with 64 is equal to x to the power of 192 over x. Now, I'm going to take the power of 1 over 192 on both sides. So now, well, there's nothing to multiply over here because 1 over 192 is the only power of 64. But on my right-hand side, these two cancel out. So now I'm left with 64 to the power of 1 over 192 is equal to x to the power of 1 over x. And by the way, I actually have two different methods of solving this equation. This is my first, so make sure to stick for the second method as well, which may be simpler or harder. So now, from here, because now I have all the x's on one side. That's the reason I did this. So now what we want to do is we want to change our left-hand side to be in the form a number to the power of 1 over that same number. So right now 64 and 192 aren't the same. So we need to change this so that they become the same. So that means that whatever number these two are, that's never going to be the value of x. So to do that, I'm going to first rewrite 64 as 2 to the power of 6. So I have 2 to the power of 6 to the power of 1 over 192 is equal to x to the power of 1 over x. And remember, now we can use that property again. So this turns into 2 to the power of 6 times 1 over 192 is equal to x to the power of 1 over x. And 6 times 192 is 6 over 192, which simplifies to 1 over 32. So now these two still aren't the same. So we gotta change this again. And what I'm gonna do is rewrite 1 over 32 as 2 over 64. And remember that property earlier, a to the power of m to the power of n is equal to a to the power of m times n. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse it. So 2 to the power of 2 over 64 is the same thing as 2 to the power of 2 times 1 over 64. And now, I'm going to rewrite this as 2 to the power of 2 to the power of 1 over 64. Now, 2 to the power of 2 is 4, so I get 4 to the power of 1 over 64 is equal to x to the power of x, 1 over x. Now, these two still aren't the same, but what we're going to do is we're going to keep on repeating what we were just doing. So we're going to rewrite 1 over 64 as 2 over 128. And now I'm going to rewrite this as 4 to the power of 2 to the power of 1 over 128. So now I have 16 to the power of 1 over 128 is equal to x to the power of 1 over x. And I'm going to repeat that again. So I have 16 to the power of 2 over 256 is equal to x to the power of 1 over x. So I have 16 squared to the power of 256 is equal to x to the power of 1 over x, meaning 256 to the power of 256 is 256 to the power of 1 over 256, sorry, is equal to x to the power of 1 over x. So we just found our value of x, 256. Now before you leave, I actually have a second method, but this time I'm going to be solving it using logarithms. So I'm going to be solving this equation using logarithms, which is actually simpler than this method, and it's an important concept to learn because it's really useful in solving equations like these. So what I'm going to start by doing is I'm going to take the ln on both sides. So I have ln 64 to the power of x is equal to ln x to the power of 192. Now, if I have something in the form ln a to the power b, I can move this exponent b to the front. So this turns into b times ln a. So in this case, for ln 64 to the power of x, I'm going to move x to the front. And for ln x to the power of 192, I'm going to move 192 to the front. So now I have x times ln 64 is equal to 192 times ln x. Now, 64 is the same thing as 2 to the power of 6. So I can move 6 to the front now. So now I have 6x times ln 2 is equal to 192 times ln x. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 6. So I get x times ln 2 is equal to 32 times ln x. Now, I can divide both sides by x times ln 2. Or sorry, I can divide both sides by 32x. So on my left-hand side, these two cancel out, and on my right-hand side, these two cancel out. So now I have ln 2 over 32 is equal to ln x over x. Now, for my left-hand side, I'm going to multiply it by 8 over 8. So I get 8 times ln 2 over 8 times 32, which is 256, is equal to ln x over x. However, instead of multiplying this, I can rewrite as 2 to the power of 5. 256 is the same thing as 2 to the power of 5. And now, 2 to the power of 5 is the same thing as 2 to the power of 1 over 2 to the power of 5 is the same thing as 2 to the power of negative 5. Sorry, this is supposed to be 2 to the power of 8. And now I'm going to rewrite this as 2 to the power of negative 8 times ln 2 is equal to x to the power of negative 1 times ln x. So now, two to the power of negative 8, I'm going to rewrite as e to the power of negative L8 times ln 2. And if I have something in the form e to the power of ln x, this is just equal to x. So the reason negative 8 is in the front here is because, remember, I can just move it over here. Because if I have something in the form ln a to the power b, this is equal to b times ln a. I can move this to the front. So that's why we're rewriting this as negative e to the power of negative 8 times ln 2. It's still the same thing as 2 to the power of negative 8. So now I have this times 8 ln 2 is equal to, for x to the power of negative 1, I'm going to write that as e to the power of negative ln x. Now I have this times ln x. So now this turns into negative 8 ln 2 times e to the power of negative 8 times ln 2 is equal to negative ln x times e to the power of negative ln x. So I just multiplied both sides by negative 1. And now I'm going to use something known as the W Lambert function. And what it states is that if I have something in the form, if I take the W of something in the form a times e to the power of ln a, this is simply equal to a. So in this case, I'm going to take the W on both sides. So I get W of negative 8 times ln 2 times e to the power of negative 8 times ln 2. Sorry, this should just be a is equal to W of negative ln x times e to the power of negative ln x. So now I'm simply left with 8 times negative 8 times ln 2 is equal to negative ln x, meaning 8 times ln 2 is equal to ln x. And now I can move the 8 back to the front. So I get ln 2 to the power of 8 is equal to ln of x. And this means that x is equal to 2 to the power of 8. 2 to the power of 8 is equal to 256. So x is equal to 256. So that is the second method. Now, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and check out more videos like this one on my channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.